Welcome to Sewing Out Loud, the official podcast of Zede Sewing Studio. Here are your hosts, Zede and Mallory.
Sewing Out Loud. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mallory Donahue.
And I'm Zede Donahue.
And it's time for another Feel Free to Compliment Me episode.
Yes, because Mallory and I just don't get enough compliments.
That's right. We have to broadcast it out to the world.
We have to ask for them.
I think that it's totally okay to, be proud and ask for compliments. I
do too.
Like, what's the alternative?
And accept those compliments.
Yeah.
So many times you tell somebody, oh, that's a really nice this, or, oh, that was really cool. And they're like, people don't know how to accept compliments.
Derek got mad at me because he said I was demanding that he take my picture when I was wearing this dress. And I was like, I just want you to take my picture. I need to show people pictures of this dress and I need somebody else to take my pictures. I'm always taking beautiful pictures of you and Sam. Okay. And you guys never take beautiful pictures of me.
Yes,
so
we do. That's not true.
And I was like, oh, we were walking to a concert where I wore this dress, and I was like, oh, you should be taking my picture. And I thought it was a cool idea. I was really excited. Wearing the dress, seeing Derek after a couple of days, and he's like, well, you were just demanding it of me or whatever. And I was like, it would be like if he planted the garden and was like, whoa, come look, I finished all the pole beans or whatever.
It's not just you wearing the dress. You made the dress.
Well,
right?
And so I think there's a bias against people who are proud of their appearance.
Uh-huh.
It's like it's not valid or something.
Oh.
And I'm sort of like, okay, yeah, you're not supposed to be like a shallow person who bases all of, how you value people on appearances. But you can be proud of your appearance and it is okay. It is fine.
I base a lot of things on people's appearance. I'm sorry. Cleanliness is quite important to me.
Right, but I just don't think it's shallow of me to be so excited
about wearing a dress that you made. It's your product.
Yes. And then Derek was like, well, I just want to enjoy life. And I'm like, you can enjoy looking at your talented wife.
That's right.
In her gorgeous
through this
dress.
Lens.
Yes. And I was like, and then he kind of was like, well, I'll take your picture, And I was like, okay. I mean, we were anyway. So actually, he didn't take very many good pictures of me because I was just kind of pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, what's new? Me being demanding? It's been 6 years we've been married. What's new? Okay, so
he knew what he was getting. I'm sure.
Yes, but perhaps I should not be so demanding. Fine, but you can feel free to compliment me on this dress. I'm really excited about it, and I'm always feeling free to compliment other people.
That's right.
So this dress was inspired by...
This is not the dress she asked to have her picture taken in.
Yes, it is.
Oh, by Derek?
Yes.
Oh, that was...
This dress.
It was.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So this dress came about...
I took your picture the day before in that dress.
Yeah, not a ton, or I don't have them. I'm gonna have to get dressed in it again to get more pictures taken because no one will take my picture.
I have a bunch of pictures of you in this dress.
Okay, so we other sewing bloggers just get such beautiful pictures taken of them all the time. Who do they have?
I don't know. They probably it's a delayed lens.
Yes. So it was button-up month, right?
Right.
And I was really excited to make a shirt dress. McCall's 7470 just looked like the ideal garment to me for this time in my life. I just thought it looked very tailored and was going to make me look like I have a waist and yet was going to be practical, and it could be a shirt or a dress, sleeveless shirt. I could roll up the cuffs. I like that the shirt dresses make me look very put together. Like you put the whole thing on and there's a collar and I'm like, oh, this is great because I can only have to plan on one garment or something like that. So there is a big saga to the fit and the construction and some errors in this pattern.
In the pattern, not
on
that you
my
made.
part.
Right.
Actually, once it got going, it comes together very nicely. I think pretty easily. I think it's a nice pattern once you can get past those things. So I made a shirt version. And then I made a sleeveless shirt dress version out of this. Both of them are in floral denim. So I've got that branch of the wardrobe covered. floral denim.
That's right.
Floral denim collared button-up shirts, okay? And then I got this idea to make a sheer version. I wanted to make a sheer version of it and wear like a slip
Right.
underneath. And so this sheer floral fabric, it's like a embroidered mesh. It's all the rage this season. Lots of people are making dresses out of it. I'm not the first. Embroidered mesh is really big in lingerie right now.
Yes.
The Lingerie Addict has done some
Well,
stuff.
it's kind of always been, I guess, pretty much popular.
I think it's been popular. I think it's coming out in some more like exciting colors.
I can show you some underwear in some exciting colors.
That's true, but it's coming around again. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Yes. So,
well, or we okay.
Uh-huh.
We also see more pictorials of lingerie than we used to.
You're right.
You know, we didn't see a lot of pictures of bras when I was growing up in the 50s and the 60s, right? I mean,
People weren't
Sears
sharing-
catalog, but they weren't like featured on TV and billboards and
Sure.
Instagram because it didn't exist.
No, that's
But,
very
right.
true. So I was thinking about wearing a slip under it. I was thinking about all these undergarments, and I'll get into that a little bit later, like how I chose that. But when I went to make this sheer dress out of the floral embroidered mesh, it was a little bit different from making it out of the other woven fabrics, that I'd used before. So the mesh is embroidered. It's like a border print, a one-sided.
It goes in one direction,
Yes.
sort of. Yeah.
So from one selvage, one selvage is like the bottom of the print, and
Right.
then the embroidery gets more sparse going to the other selvage. It's got flowers and like butterflies on it and stuff. So the pattern pieces actually were laid out different from what you would normally
Right.
expect.
Instead of laying the fabric cross grain on your pieces, you were
Well, I was laying the grain along the cross grain. My grain lines of my patterns were going from selvage to selvage.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So instead of having the cross grain be like around the body.
Around the body, right. It was going the length of the body.
Now,
yes.
this is embroidered mesh or like embroidered organza. So
No, it's mesh. It's not organza.
it's not,
It's definitely mesh.
I'll talk about the source of this fabric too and the
Yeah.
odd labeling of it.
It's definitely mesh. It is not organza.
So I had to lay it like that, and the hems of my bodice pieces, this is a full-length shirt dress, I had them down where the embroidery was more dense, you
Right.
know, and had to kind of, think about that a little bit, think about those lining up. But I didn't want my hem to have embroidery on it. I didn't want it to get kind of like folded up in there. So I did leave some unembroidered area at the bottom of the dress. The biggest challenge of this dress was the embroidery on the mesh. It wasn't like sewing through the mesh, but handling the embroidery. It ended up being a really dense when you tried to put it into
Right,
seams
right.
or fold it up into
Right.
the hem.
It bulked things up if you had to seam it. Or,
Right. So that was something that I took into consideration as I was cutting it out. Now, big point here is I made this pattern twice already.
Right.
Right? Muslining this. Those were my muslins, basically.
Right.
That was key to know this was the right length
You knew
already.
the pattern. You knew it fit.
Like if I had needed, it wasn't really something that I wanted to just cut off. Okay. I wanted it to be the right length when I was cutting it. So just make sure and do that before you cut into some precious fabric or some finicky fabric.
Definitely have a muslin of some
Yeah.
sort. Yes.
This
that
would not
you've
have
done.
looked good if I just had to cut some off the
Right.
bottom, So, and actually this dress was perfect for me. I didn't have to,
No.
the length was
I know.
perfect. It's very unexpected, okay? So, cutting it like that, cutting was not too hard. The rotary cutter went right through it, so the embroidery wasn't too bulky there. The hems of the sleeves, kind of the same thing. So the more dense embroidery was at the bottom of the sleeves. And then seaming this dress together, I did a video on this in the self-sewn wardrobe. How I chose to seam the princess seams and all that jazz was I straight stitched it with, the sewing machine. I actually used the Babylock Jane. It's a straight stitch only machine. It's kind of nice for this. And then I serged my seam allowances together with a 3-thread narrow. very close to my stitching line. So I was trimming off a lot of seam allowance there. And then I folded the seam allowance over and top stitched it from the right side of the fabric.
Right.
So all of the lines of the dress, the princess lines, they could be seen with this sheer fabric. And I think it made it really nice.
Top stitching, though, you made them all lay to the side you wanted to lay.
That's right.
You made it more uniform.
So I used 3 machines because we're lucky enough to have that set up. I straight stitched on the Jane with construction thread, black construction thread. I went over and serged on the Enlighten with my black 3-thread narrow. So this is one place where I'm matching all my threads. Okay,
right.
So we love thread blending.
Because
it's sheer, right? And then we went over to the Destiny, and I used embroidery thread for my top stitching. Okay, so black Floriani embroidery thread is what I used there. It was, thinner, laid flatter. It was kind of shiny, not a lot of bulk. It looked really nice. So that is how I seamed everything together. And then where I had to kind of improvise or change things up a little bit was on the cuffs and the collar and the collar and undercollar and the button bands and plackets. The plackets. That's where I had to kind of change things up. So I didn't. This is like a button-up shirt that has some yokes in the front and back. I didn't interface those or line those or anything like the pattern originally calls for. So that's all sheer. But the cuffs, I interlined those with black satin. So I cut out an entire cuff out of sheer fabric and an entire cuff out of black crepe back satin. So when I folded the cuff, the way the pattern piece works, there was embroidery toward my skin. But I didn't really find that to be an issue on the cuff.
Right.
I didn't mind. I could have split that pattern piece in half, so the satin was toward my body. Right. But I didn't think that would be an issue,
And it wasn't, right? It's
No, it was fine there. But then where it was easier to do this, on the button band that's close to your body, where the buttons are, that is just black satin. Okay, now it's interfaced, of course. All of these pieces are interfaced with black cotton organdy. But I didn't feel the need for the mesh to be there at all.
Well, no.
In fact, I thought if I did ever wear the dress open, it might look kind of neat.
Right.
A little bit of something for the eye to look at. Now, on the other button band,
the top one
with the
buttonholes.
Yep, with the holes. I did just do a layer of mesh and a layer of satin with my cotton organdy, like the cuff. On this one, I kind of wish I had split that button band in half. So because when you put that all on, there's a lot of layers of that mesh.
Right.
So I could have simplified things for myself a little bit.
Right.
But it ended up fine. So folding, whenever the mesh, a heavily embroidered part of it, like a flower or a butterfly or something, got incorporated into a seam, I just had to really press it, to get it to fold over nicely and lay flat beforehand, because it would want to kind of spring back into action. Now, something interesting that happened was there is a yellow center of a red flower that repeats on this mesh, and a few of them were missing. And it was not on purpose. Like, I looked. They were random. It wasn't like, oh, this is a flower without a center or something like that. And I had to restitch it. So I could have done it by hand, could have done a lot of things. But you were like, oh, just, put Floriani in the Destiny and restitch it. So yeah, I just kind of, quote, freehanded. I went back and forth with a long straight stitch.
Like a free motion.
Yeah, but I did have the feed dogs on, but it was like I darned it. Okay.
Right.
This is on the collar, I think, but perhaps. And I found another one on the dress, and I didn't fix it because it wasn't in a place that was obvious. Going to be noticed, but I was like, oh, there's another one of those. Oh, maybe it's on the cuff. So I'll make sure, I'll try to take a picture of that too. So if you are working with this mesh, or you're working with a fabric that has some kind of like bulky surface design, do think about things like cuffs and the button bands, something that is folded. You could split those pattern pieces in half and add seam allowance, and you could reduce bulk in the long run. Right. Whereas when that button band is it's a bit bulky. Now on the collar and the undercollar, I thought this looked so cool. It felt neat. I loved this detail. So when I say undercollar, that's
Collar
wrong.
band.
Collar stand. The collar stand. So the outside of the collar stand that people see is the embroidered mesh, but the inside is the black satin. So that's what's like against my neck. And then the collar, the part with like the points, the collar part is the embroidered mesh, and then the back of it is the black satin. So this was just a really easy way for me to reduce bulk. And we cut our undercollars on the bias, right, to make them fold over more nicely. It wouldn't have been good to have that be mesh. The embroidered mesh would be too bulky, right? You're laughing at me. What are you like?
No, yeah.
No, we wouldn't.
Well, you needed, yeah, I would have, that collar also needed the stiffness.
Yes. So it had cotton organdy in it.
Right, but it still needed the stiffness of, a full piece of fabric under there, too.
Yes,
yeah.
It would have been floppy.
Right.
Maybe with just, although that mesh was kind of, had some body to it.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't, right, it wasn't flowy, really.
No, it was, it's almost like a tulle almost, So that's all well and good. And then buttons and buttonholes. So I put the dress on, I marked my buttonholes. And what we like to do, and we included this tip in the button-up zine, we don't like to put a button right in between the boobs. Right in between
so
the
that you have
apex.
3 headlights instead of 2.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been given that tip, like, oh, place a button there because that's your stress point, right?
Right.
Well, I knew I wanted a fastener there, but I didn't want it to be my bright gold buttons that I was picking out, right? So I have these bright gold buttons. They look like a caricature of buttons, I feel like. It's like, oh my gosh, this is like a cartoon button. But they're gold, and I thought they looked really good with the fabric. It's what I'd originally wanted to use, so I'm glad that it actually worked when the fabric came here, So I placed a button above and below my fullest bust area, and I knew that I was going to be putting hidden closures in this dress. Like, it's what I'd done in my other shirt dress. It's just going to be happening. So that's where I placed those buttons. I made the buttonholes black because they would just blend in. And then I had black thread in the machine to put the buttons on. And I don't know, it was the night before, and I put my first button on with black thread, my gold button with black thread. And I was like, wait a minute,
Didn't look right.
I was like, this was not the right choice, at all. There are 4 holes in these buttons. They're rather large. It didn't look terrible. And this is where I thought I was a little, I redeemed myself a little bit. I put gold thread in the machine, and I put on the next button.
Right. And it looks so much better.
And just tried it out. What if that hadn't looked good or something? I did have the other one. So anyway, I just cut the other one off and redid it. And these buttons, like I said, they're kind of large. And so on the cuff of this dress, there's supposed to be 2 buttons holding it in place. And 2 of these buttons I thought would, it's like they didn't fit. I mean, they were too large, to put 2 of them on there, but just one would not suffice. And we had large gold buttons, like large gold metal buttons. So that worked really nicely for the cuff. So sewed all of those on with gold thread, and it was fabulous. And before I had the dress completely finished, I needed to figure out what I wanted to wear under it, right? So that was my next step. Sam and I were in the studio discussing what I was going to wear under it, and you suggested some things too. So originally I was thinking a slip, like a short slip that would show my legs.
Right.
Sheer under, the sheer dress would show off my legs. And then we were like, oh, what about, I said I wanted to wear a bra and like shorts. So you would see like my midriff, and then also my legs. But I'm not a very leggy person.
So she's walking around in women's underwear in the public.
I was like, I'm just emboldened by my lingerie addict group. I'm going to wear lingerie as outerwear. I even kind of fantasized.
She also sings into the hairbrush like she's Madonna sometimes.
Yeah. I even fantasized about ordering like something really special from one of these brands that I'm following, like that make cool lingerie or something, but I didn't have time for that, and I think it's good too because my boobs are in a really weird place right now. So we were experimenting.
You know my new philosophy on boobs, right?
What's your new philosophy?
My current philosophy.
No.
All breasts are perfect. They just aren't always on the correct body.
Okay.
They're just mismatched.
Okay.
So I think my boobs would be perfect on someone else's body.
You think so?
And I've seen boobs I'd like on my body.
Oh, all right. Sounds good. So we were looking at the line of this, and I had like a pair of bike shorts that I tried under the dress, but really what ended up looking really good was a pair of full-length leggings.
Which she just happened to have on, right?
Yeah. Well, I had them around. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was walking around in my underwear in the sewing studio. And
which is every time Mallory's husband comes up and walks in the studio, he goes, oh.
Yeah.
Because somebody's in their bra.
Somebody's in their bra or something. So.
Like, and then he turns around like he's never seen me in my bra before.
Right.
But anyway.
So we realized that actually the thing that would look best under this dress was a pair of high-waisted leggings and a bra. So just a little bit of midriff showing, the bra, but then the legs, like the shorts were kind of stopping the eye.
Yeah.
And I left this dress, I ended up leaving it a little bit more open at the bottom than I did with my other shirt dress that I, don't want people to see through. I didn't extend the buttons any further down or anything like that. So, I was like, okay, now I need a cool bra. And so I went to our mall to look for bras. I mean, just kind of a nightmare. And I did end up at Victoria's Secret, and I was looking at some of their bras with their cool strappiness and shininess, and I didn't have the dress finished yet at this point, so I made sure that they had like a good return policy. And I told them, I was like, listen, I have to buy this bra, and then I'm going to try and wear it under something, and if it doesn't look good, I'm going to, bring it back. And they're like, no, that's fine. Just, leave the tags on it. So I did. And I ended up trying on all these bras I normally wouldn't try on because it is for like this special occasion where somebody's actually going to see the bra. So it wasn't just about comfort. It was about, the look. And that was kind of interesting because I tried on some like racer back things that closed in the front that had lace. And, I didn't want to distract from the mesh and all of the embroidery, but I wanted to complement it. And I came across like the perfect bra. It was made of black lace with like some rainbow iridescent like embroidery or threads in it, Yeah, it was kind of metallic. And it had some over-bust straps. So it was really good.
It looks strappy.
Yeah, and it was really good coverage, though, too,
Yeah.
and support and everything. Now, it did have a little bit of padding in it, which I don't need at this time in my life. We've talked about before building me boobs, but right now I'm nursing, and I have a really big asymmetry going on. Like, lefty is much bigger than righty. And so when I was talking to the Victoria's Secret salesperson about this, she said,
because righty seems to be wrongy for the baby.
That's right. No, he's a fan that the left side must produce like chocolate milk or something. So it's
probably like vanilla hazelnut or something.
Yeah, something like that. So I have this asymmetry. The salesperson said, she's like, we fit the larger breast. And I was like, okay, that's really interesting, So I went in looking I just had no idea where to start because I haven't bought like a real bra. I bought nursing bras, and like nursing sports bras, and some of them are older and they're really stretched out. So even if they were my size at one point, they're not the size that they were when I originally bought them. And I ended up wearing a size that I didn't think I would wear as a 34 double D. I never worn like this size in my life,
Yeah, we can talk about Victoria's Secret's sizing someday.
Well, and a lot of lingerie designers say that there really is no such thing as a bra size, as a standardized bra size outside of a certain brand,
Right. The brand is
the size.
The brand is within itself, yeah.
Yeah, so but it was interesting because I did have to try on a lot of bras to get to this point because I wasn't sure, what it was. But it was cool because some of those front closing ones, I was like, oh my gosh, these are like never going to work on my body. Like my boobs just aren't in the right place. And it was a good education. So I chose this one and it ended up looking really cool under the dress. Had some complementary lines and some lines that were parallel and some lines that sort of intersected. And it looked really good, and it looked good with my high-waisted leggings. So I had that sorted out. I just knew that I should really pump right before we left on whatever we were doing. So at Common Threads...
Pump her breast is what she means.
Pump, breast milk. So at Common Threads, there's always like an outing that they do. And this year we went to the opera, and that's where I wore my dress. So then the day after... Derek and I were going to see David Byrne at the Peabody Opera House in St. Louis, and I wore the dress there too, and I got lots of compliments from strangers.
Yes, you did.
On my dress.
Yes, you did.
And lots of compliments at Common Threads, and lots of compliments at the concert too.
Yes.
So it was a lot of fun to wear. And then I came home. I was needing to do a live broadcast. Didn't have my laundry done. My husband has injured himself. I was like, what am I going to wear? And I was like, oh, right. I was just going to wear this.
Just wear it everywhere.
I just wore the sheer shirt dress and just threw on my black leggings. And I had the bra. Like, I don't wear that bra, with anything else. Like, it's completely impractical. And it's not a nursing bra. So, it'd been worn, just a couple times. And it was great. So, maybe I'll just wear that for every live broadcast.
That's right.
It'll just be my uniform.
It's your uniform.
Right?
Your costume.
So, is there anything else you can remember? The process of making that dress... It was not too difficult.
So where did you source that fabric from?
Oh, this is great. So I got it on Amazon. So this was so funny. One of the attendees at Common Threads says to me, I don't mean to offend you, but is that the mesh from Joann's? I was like, I don't think I would have been offended by that, but I didn't hand embroider it myself.
Right.
Maybe that's what they were asking. I did get a lot of questions about that at Common Threads. No, I didn't embroider the mesh, but I got it off of Amazon. So I was searching for this fabric, and this fabric exists on a few other sites, and our Joann's had the nude beigey version of it, is what it was called. And they didn't have the black when we were there. And I searched around for it, and on Amazon, I got it for I think it was $11 a yard at the time. It took 3 or 4 weeks to get here in a poly mailer, that was, there was no beautiful branding on it or anything like that. The shipping was not that bad. It was $4. So I got 4 yards of it and paid $4 shipping. So I think around $50 something-ish dollars for the fabric. But it's called, I'll share the link to it. It's called Exquisite Fancy Tulle Embroidery. It's not. And when I go back to search for it,
maybe not an English-speaking person named it.
And I thought, I want to reach out to this fabric company because I think they're trying to use descriptive words, but it's not good for someone who's trying to buy the fabric because when you search black embroidered mesh or black embroidered tulle, it doesn't just come up. Other things come up, and I had to kind of go in this roundabout way to find this fabric. So anyway, I believe that it is the same fabric that is from Joann's. So I told this person at Common Threads who asked me, I was like, I think I just bought it straight from China instead of Joann's buying it from China and, putting it on a bolt and marking it up 4 times, then giving me a 50% off coupon, is how I bought the fabric. So, and I buy fabric from local places and from Joann's, and
we buy fabric from any place.
As someone who's owned a store, I understand why it is not $11 in the store. I'm in their store, I'm breathing their air, all that jazz. But they didn't have the black version.
Right, they had the white.
I didn't
or off-white, whatever.
It was, and it was called. I didn't like the color very much for what I was planning, but Amanda of the group, and she's a member. She made her daughter a prom dress out of the beige, and it looked really nice.
It was very nice.
So I thought it was kind of interesting because her dress didn't focus on the seams as much. Like
Right.
I've got princess seams on my dress, and I was wanting those seams to like show. And
Right.
maybe I was a little bit inspired by that kind of like lingerie look of a
Right.
seamed bra cup or something
Right.
like that. And hers did not show all of that. So I thought it was interesting because I wasn't attracted to that version of this fabric for my project at all. And then her project really made good use of it. So yeah, tips for sewing with that fabric. I did a broadcast on it in the self-sewn wardrobe. I showed my seaming technique, and it was super fun to do. So yeah, you can feel free to compliment me on my dress.
Oh, Mallory, I compliment you on your dress and wearing your
Okay.
underwear out in public so that
Yes.
everyone can see it.
And I was kind of worried about going to my, sewing influencer conference in the Midwest.
And wearing your underwear?
Wear my underwear, but people to my face were really supportive.
No, I don't think anybody freaked out.
People really liked
Considering
it.
you look like a pregnant mermaid last year, I don't think
They
that
were-
you
yeah.
phased them at all.
So I have shown midriff 2 out of 2 years at Common Threads.
And 1 year she was 7.5 months pregnant.
Yes.
So.
So we'll see what happens. No,
Gosh, next year, what
was-
could happen?
I
what
wasn't
could it be?
7.5 months pregnant.
No.
I looked 7.5 months pregnant.
You're only 3 months
But that
pregnant
was,
or something.
That was June. So I was
oh,
only
yeah.
6
You're
months
only 6
pregnant.
months pregnant. You look 7.5 months pregnant. You're right.
Yeah, people were messaging me, and they're like, oh my God, you haven't had your baby yet? Like, how pregnant were you? Like, someone was like, weren't you really pregnant? Or am I just remembering this? I'm like, no, I just, like, looked really, really, really pregnant. And I mean, 6 months is quite far
Right.
along. But my due date was, like, October 5th or something,
Right.
and it was June. So, anyway, all right. So let's take a quick break, and we will come back, and Mom is going to talk to you
Did I remind you of Sam?
about Sam's dress. You wish you reminded me of Sam, Mom. Okay, you just wish you were as cool as Sam Bam. All right. Hey everybody, it's Mallory here in your message break, and I just want to make an announcement or a disclaimer or whatever we're supposed to call it, that we are going to start using affiliate links as a way to get support for the podcast and for our website and everything like that. Mom, do you know what an affiliate link is?
Okay, she's affiliating me with something, and I have no idea what this is about.
Yeah, I totally used,
Thanks.
our tax ID number to,
Yeah.
So what an affiliate link is.
I'm going to wind up like in jail and not know what I'm being charged with. Is
Yeah,
that right?
probably.
Okay.
No, because we're disclaiming it right now.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Affiliate links.
I'll just need a lawyer. I
Yes.
won't go to jail.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And we'll make money from the affiliate links to pay for the lawyer. So
It's Zede's going to need to keep her butt out of jail.
no, we're doing it all right. Okay, so here's the deal. Affiliate links are links that we post that maybe to Amazon or to other products on other platforms. And when you click through and you buy things on Amazon or you subscribe to something, that we're an affiliate for, we get a kickback. Okay.
Oh, we make money?
Yeah, we make a little bit of money. And what's really cool about the Amazon thing is, we make the kickback on everything you buy.
So if they buy a refrigerator, I can make money on it?
That is correct.
Hey, everybody, buy a refrigerator.
No, we're not. Okay, so that's something we're not supposed to do, right?
Oh, we're not supposed to. So now I am going to wind up in jail.
So the terms of service, though, I just want to let you all know, is that we have to disclaim, like, hey, we're an affiliate for this or this. When we share this tracing paper from Amazon that has free shipping, this is an affiliate link. You need to know that I am not just innocently recommending this, and we will get a kickback on that. So you're going to see some of those in the group. It's never going to be crap that we don't
I was going to say,
like.
even though we could endorse crap,
We won't.
we're not going. We're actually going to maintain our ethics.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're going to find you things at places that ship fast. We're going to recommend products that we really enjoy using. If you've ever ordered something from us, you may have noticed that Mallory's not the most organized shipper and packer. So we are going to play to our strengths and really focus on creating the podcasts, the videos, the online classes, and allow other businesses that are really good at shipping things to ship things to you. So just be aware that we will be using those affiliate links. There are lots of ways to let you know. I can just say this is an affiliate link, or sometimes people use hashtags, and I've been getting really creative and it's been a lot of fun already in the group. So just heads up, we're going to be doing that. And if you click on an affiliate link, know that if you purchase something, you'll be supporting sewhere.com, and we so appreciate it.
Good idea, Mal.
Sewing out loud.
And we're back.
So now can I fall asleep while you're talking about Sam's
I know,
dress?
I was going to fall asleep. I'm tired. We went live this morning. We've done a lot of work. Okay, speaking of tired.
Well, I just
feel free to compliment me because I can stay awake for things that I don't plan to stay awake for.
I just hope that I didn't bore everyone else. I mean,
yeah, really, I don't know.
When I do the
how many times have I heard the story? You have to think about that too.
When I do the live broadcast in the group, I'm getting a little bit of feedback.
You think people are gonna,
and then when we do this, we're looking at each other.
And I have my eyes closed.
We're saying and then I'm like, so I chose these gold buttons, and Mom's like,
I almost got whiplash falling off the chair.
I hope it was more entertaining to all of you. All right. Go.
So here's what happens to me. This is why I'm so tired. So I come back from vacation, and we have 3 days before we go to Babylock Common Threads, which is another 4 days out of town. And we have to present our leggings class to 50 people, right? Some of whom have never sewn a garment.
Sweet baby Jesus.
That's right.
Okay.
And Mallory says, oh, Sam wants a lace dress. And I told her, don't worry about it. You can just, it's no problem because you can just draft a pattern for her and just sew one up. So that's what I got to do.
Yeah.
So Mallory still has the habit of committing me to tasks that I have without clearing it through me first.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I don't mind sewing for Sam. So anyway, Sam wanted a lace dress, or she wanted a lace dress that was lined. And I said, no, let's make 2 dresses. She said, what do you mean? And I said, well, you'll make an underdress and an overdress, and then you'll have this lace dress to put over anything you want. And she was like, So what we wound up doing was actually making an easy tee dress that was her underdress. So it was like very simple, somewhat close fitting, I'd say, with like an A-line skirt. And then she says, I really have this dress I like at home, and I kind of wish I had something like it. And I said, well, let's bring it in because I have no idea what I'm going to draft for this woman.
Right.
And what do we call it when Sam gets all hyped up over sewing something? You call it something.
Well, we don't.
It's like sewing paranoia or something.
Yeah.
She's like, it won't fit. I won't like it. And we haven't even started it.
Right.
But she gets this like anxiety that's like not well substantiated by anything in reality.
Well, what we really call it is, and we don't talk about it a lot because I don't want to make light of like actual mental illness. We call it Sam's sewing bipolar.
Oh, that's what we call it.
This is
But because she swings like how much she wants it, and then she's like, I don't think I'm gonna.
Yes, and we've we diagnosed Sam with this issue a few years ago because Sam will literally, and she's editing this podcast, she can edit this out if she wants to. She will go from being like, oh my gosh, I am so excited. I'm going to make this thing and I am feeling so good about it. And then like a few minutes later, she's like, well, I just throw it away.
I don't like it. I'll never wear that.
Never mind.
I know I'll never wear it.
I'll go like vacuum.
That doesn't look right on my body. I know it doesn't.
I'll go like vacuum the studio. It's all right. It's and she's like, and I'm like, no. We just got to like push through. And so anyway, that's what we playfully call it, between ourselves. But yeah, Sam has a almost a fatalistic approach.
I think as much as I try, I can't convince her that we can make it happen, right?
And so anyway, I think that it has to do a lot with Sam being a perfectionist.
Yes, she is. Yeah, she wants it to be right.
And she wants to do things right.
Right.
And then also I think it has to do with Sam being a really good employee. Okay. Of hours. So Sam has worked for us for how many years now, right? Like 5 or something. I don't know.
It's been a long time now.
And she thinks that when we're going through something in the sewing process like this, that she's like wasting our time.
Well,
you
that's
know?
true. She said, I don't want to waste your time. I'm like, you're not wasting my time.
No.
Even though Mallory volunteered me without asking me.
That's
yes,
right.
And I'm tired from my trip, and now I have to go on another trip, and I'm exhausted, but I'm making a dress anyway.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all fine.
It's okay.
It's all fine.
So I think that's where this comes in, for Sam.
Right.
But that's why I thought it's really important that this, work out.
So Sam has this, we made this sort of Merlot color, easy to dress.
Like a Ponte.
Yeah, I have a Ponte knit, and it looked fine. And then she had bought this black stretch lace, which was really quite pretty. It was a real nice quality. I didn't think it'd be too hard to sew with either, so I was kind of excited about it.
They were both nice fabrics.
Yeah, really nice fabric. And so she brings this dress in, and it's a knit dress, and it has these gores in it, but the gores are arched on the top.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I don't know how else to describe this, but it's sort of like scalloped. They're scalloped into the bodice.
Yeah.
It's not just straight. The tops of the gores are arched, right? And I go, we can do this, She's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I had no idea if it was really going to work. But anyway, no, I did. So I really just copied the dress.
Yeah.
Okay. But I did add sleeves to it. Her dress, I don't think, had sleeves. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
The bodice I did a little bit differently, and I can't remember exactly what I did differently. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But it was not the same. And I added length to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it had like 6 gores. No, that's not right. It had side seams, and I left out the side seams on the skirt. That's what I did.
Yeah.
So I just took this tissue paper and whipped out this thing, and then she goes, aren't you going to add seam allowance? And I go, oh, yeah. And I just took the rotary cutter and cut like
a little bit outside of the tissue paper.
Outside of the tissue. And she's like, oh. And I go, talk to Mallory about this. It works. I can make it work. So
when you're sewing with a knit and you're really experienced, like Zede is, a lot of times.
Right. I was pretty sure I knew what it was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the dress she had a zipper in it. We didn't put a zipper in this one. It just came over the top. And I made the neckline different, and that scared her too.
Yeah.
And then her lace had a scalloped edge on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Right. On both selvages.
Gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
But we could not cut any of the pieces with the scalloped edge because they were all rounded.
Yes.
Like the gore on the skirt had a curve to it, so you couldn't lay the hem of the skirt. And then
not gold.
Right. And then, the neckline obviously was curved, and the sleeves were like little bitty cap sleeves, so they were sort of curved too. So anyway, she went away. I made the basic dress and it fit her. And then when she went away, I cut all of this trim off of the sides of this fabric. And I decided not to put it on the hem because I really thought it was going to get lost anyway.
Yeah.
Because the skirt was quite full.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it'd matter. So that I just did with a rolled hem, and it turned out quite nice and looked fine.
But you applied all that scallop.
But I applied that scallop by a tiny zigzag, onto the sleeves and onto the neck, and it really did look nice. It really did.
This technique of taking the scallop off of lace and then reapplying it is covered in the zine, in the June Volume 6 So Long and So Happy zine, that you did it on my wedding dress.
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I did.
for something that couldn't have been cut out on that scalloped edge.
And, you don't cut out, you cut it. I mean, you're cutting it straight, the scallop, and you go up, just up above, the scallop. And usually you can make it curve. Now, hers was a knit. Yours wasn't.
Right.
But if it's a lace, too, it's easy to make it curve.
Sure, that netting.
Yeah.
And so Sam and I were both wearing, overlays.
Right.
It was
They were both wearing overlays. I wore a dress that was, 12 years old. But I looked better than both of them, but actually, no. But here's what happened with Sam's, too. Sam was like, what about, how do you seam lace? How could it just stick together? Because it's just holes. And how can you sew holes together?
She may have been on the downswing.
Maybe.
At this point. Okay.
And I said, it's going to happen. I'm going to give you we're going to just serge it. Just serge it. That's all. I said, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to reinforce these seams, but we need to reinforce them with something that's not going to show because, of course, this is, again, a see-through fabric because it's lace. And Mallory was putting together the dress that she just spoke of. And I was like, hey, Mal, what are you going to do with this big selvage here? And Mallory's like, oh, you can have that. So I actually cut 1/2-inch strips, okay, of Mallory's selvage that had no embroidery on it. So it was just the mesh.
The mesh.
And what I did is when I serged all the seams, and what I did is I made sure that that extra layer, so I was serging 3 layers at all times, and it was on the inside. It was not like between the seams. It was on one side of the seam. And I made sure that was in there. And it worked perfectly. And actually, I think I don't know if we spoke about this, or I think it was Kim that said, well, couldn't you just use Seams Great?
Yeah.
And I said,
Terry said that.
Oh,
Terry
okay.
said that.
Okay, Terry said it. And I said, well, of course. And how do you think Seams Great came up with this idea? Because what Seams Great is it's a product, and it's a nylon mesh, and it's cut on the bias. I think they used to make black. I don't know if they make black anymore. I haven't seen it, but it's supposed to be clear, but it looks white. Okay. And I think they used to have like a smoky color, and I don't know if they have that anymore, if that's available. But it's cut on the bias, so it can go on any seam like that, and you can fold it over or incorporate it in all
It's
this.
like a stabilizer.
It's supposed to
right?
keep it from fraying or whatever, right? So anyway, I just want everybody to know that we were doing things, like Seams Great before Seams Great was invented.
Well, I think this is a really good thing for new stitchers to know that the packaged like stabilizers and interfacings and stuff, it's not like they don't have a place in your life. Go get some, because we would have.
We have Seams Great here.
Yeah, we would have had that. We would have used it, but don't
but I
forget,
like the black.
Yeah, and don't forget that like what you're working with is fabric, and you used to just have to use fabric for everything, and so don't throw away mesh selvages.
Yeah.
Don't throw away.
I mean, we have boxes
like
that say things like, what does that one knit box say? What does it say? I can't remember. It's like
viable
knit.
scraps.
Yeah, viable scraps. So they were like pieces of scraps just big enough that maybe they're used as an accent piece or something like that. And then we also have a knit scrap, box too, because I like to tie my sushi rolls. I sushi roll my fabrics and then I tie them up with knit scraps, because the knit doesn't tend to leave a mark.
Right.
So a lot of times the products that are out there that are packaged have occurred before they were a manufactured, packaged thing. Now, some of them maybe not. Or they're newer, especially it's a lot of things that now have glues and heat bonding and everything like that. That's kind of new. Yeah. But, in the day, we used to figure it out on our own. And we did it some way, somehow.
So don't limit, either way, don't limit yourself. Don't think, oh, I have to go buy Seams Great if I don't have the mesh, or if I do something like this.
I don't. I'm afraid to put this on it. It's not the right color or whatever. You might have another option. And the best story is Sam wore it. She looked amazing in it.
So beautiful.
And the skirt was so flirty with those.
The drape of the lace and everything.
It just draped really so
wonderful.
nice in those gores. And it stayed together with a 3-thread narrow.
What? Did
with
it not?
A what? With a what?
Did that dress explode when Sam wore it?
Yeah, the whole rear end fell off the ground, and she walked away from it. No, it was a 3-thread narrow, and she rode on a big old bus all the way to the opera.
Yep.
And drank liquor.
What did she drink?
I
was having.
Oh, she and I both had cranberry and vodka.
Okay.
We drank.
Shout out to Russell for buying us the drinks.
Yes, in our adult sippy cups.
Yes, where's my adult sippy cup? It was just right over
I
there.
brought it up here. You've got it. I even washed it for you.
Oh, thank you.
But so 3-thread narrow, my homemade Seams Great.
There you go.
Right, and my drafting with the rotary cutter.
What's your favorite drafting tool?
Rotary
the
cutter.
rotary cutter. That's a good one. That's funny. Okay.
So feel free to compliment me even when Mallory overextends her aged mother.
I mean, it wouldn't be as epic of a story.
That's true. We've got some
Right.
stories.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. You can find us on Instagram. Actually, I'm thinking about changing our Instagram handle to
Oh my
sewhere.com.
Well, that makes sense.
Does that make sense? I need to talk to Mom about it, though. So when you're listening to this, we were originally on there as Zede Sewing Studio, but we might be changing it.
I think sewhere.com might be a better.
And-
I don't know, but that looks funny in writing too.
No.
No.
But we can do the dot, so we can
Uh-huh.
really get sewhere.com. Zede and I are really good at coming up with names for things, and
we come up with too many.
too many names. So we need to. If we were to hire a brand consultant, I'm sure they'd tell us to
You have too many names.
stop changing.
thinking you're branding things when you're
when you're changing the names.
rebranding.
I should
Yes.
change the self-sewn wardrobe to like sew here. Anyway, all right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening, and find us on Instagram in one of those two places, and you can sign up for the Love Note at
And
sewhere.com/love note.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of our other brandings, so
What?
so long and so happy.
Let's just change that to sew here.
How about just
So here.
So hear me. So long and so happy.
Thanks for listening to Sewing Out Loud. For even more expert sewing advice, visit sewhere.com.